In this vid, I'm going to be taking a look at a deck by Jlcollector, who calls his deck Healing Burns. At first I thought it was a typical Reshiram variant, runs Reshiram with the draw power of Ninetales, but instead of pairing it with Embor or Typhlosion to attach the energies pretty quickly, he runs a 3-2-3 line of Serperior to heal his Reshiram, as well as a 2-2 line of Cincinno as a heavy attacker. I have a few recommendations to this deck though to make it work a little bit faster, so I hope you consider them. This is the first time I'm trying out some new software, so please bear with me if it doesn't come out right the first time. You have a pretty solid starting line of 2 Cleffa and 1 Tyrogue. I might suggest switching out the Cleffa for a Manaphy if you feel comfortable drawing only 5 rather than 6, but that's a personal choice. Going with Manaphy, I think you'll be safe to drop that down to 1 Manaphy and 1 Tyrogue, which would give you a little more room in the deck for other cards. You run a 2-2 line of Ninetales for your draw engine. Roast Reveal states that when you discard a fire energy from your hand, you get to draw 3 cards. You run plenty of fire energy in this deck, so it shouldn't be too hard to be able to do that consistently every turn. You run a 3-2-3 line of Serperior, 2 ability and 1 non. The ability Serperior allows you to heal 10 damage from each of your Pokemon in between turns. I think you can drop this down to a 2-2-2 line, or possibly a 2-1-2 line, just including the ability. I'm not a big fan of the non-ability Serperior in this deck, because it only heals 20 damage from your grass Pokemon, not from your main attackers, which would be Reshiram and Cincinno. Reshiram is your heaviest attacker. Blue Flare makes you discard 2 fire energy, but it does 120, which can knock out just about anything in this format. You also have another heavy attacker, Cincinno, which with a full bench can do 100 for only a double colorless energy. The biggest problem I see with this deck is that you don't have a fast way to build the energy on Reshiram after it uses Blue Flare. So we're probably going to want to include several switches and junk arms so that Blue Flare can be used, then switch to Cincinno to attack while you rebuild up Reshiram. You can always consider running another 2-1-2 line of either Typhlosion or Embor to try and get those energy on there a little bit faster. And you might have room for that if you reduce your 2 Cleffa down to 1 Manaphy and drop the non-ability Serperior. It makes this deck a little crowded, but it might work. Another thing you could probably drop is 1 Reshiram. By using Rescue, Revive, and Junk Arm, you should be alright with just 2 Reshiram. You currently have 21 energy in this deck, and this deck should be able to run with around 14, so let's see what we can cut out. If you can drop the non-ability Serperior, you won't need the grass energy, because I doubt that you'll be attacking with the tech ability Serperior. I would increase your line of double colorless to 4, because not only can you use them for Cincinno, but you can also use them for Reshiram's Outrage. I would drop your rescue down to 2, possibly 3, just to give you a little more space, and then you could probably be safe in dropping a few fire energy as well. In order to get this deck working, you're really going to have a solid line of trainers and supporters. I would increase your number of Pokemon Collector from 2 to 3. That will ensure that you can draw 1 early game to be able to fill up the bench as fast as possible to use Cincinno's Do the Wave. I like the 1 rare candy for the ability Serperior, and if you decide to throw in another line like Typhlosion or Embor to add on the fire energy, I might increase that to 2. However, with just the 1 Serperior line in there, I think the 1 rare candy is really good. You run 2 switch. Typically, I would only recommend 1 switch, but being that you don't have an engine to attach the energy back in 1 turn, I think the 2 switch is better so that you can easily retreat back to your Cincinno. Your recovery line is okay. You run 3 energy retrieval, but I would add 1 flower shop and possibly drop down your energy retrieval to 2 and increase your line of junk arms to 3, possibly 4. You run quite a few trainers in this deck, and especially with energy retrieval, I think having a high number of junk arm is really going to be helpful. I would also add in another communication, bringing your line from 2 to 3, and I would drop your line of twins down from 2 to 1. Cincinno is a very fast attacker, and increasing your Pokemon collectors should mean that you have a Cincinno ready to go by turn 2, possibly turn 3, so you shouldn't need the twins, but I do like to have 1 in there just in case. I would definitely add 1 Revive in this deck so that you can reuse your Reshiram. If you decide to drop your Reshiram down to 2, I would include another Revive as well. The only hand refresher you have in this deck is 3 Pont. I would consider, since you already run several energy retrieval, to maybe look at Engineer's Adjustments. When you discard an energy card from your hand, you get to draw 4. If you don't have a Ninetales set up on the bench yet, this could be a great way to hopefully get one set up. So possibly a combination of 3 Professor Oak's New Theory and 2, maybe 3 Engineer's Adjustments. If you find that you're able to easily get up the Ninetales, you might also want to consider running a Judge or 2. It's a great way to disrupt your opponent, and with your Ninetales engine in place, you should be able to easily recover if you happen to judge yourself into a bad hand. If you can find the room, I would also throw in 1 Juniper, just in case your hand is very low or really horrible. And the last thing I would suggest adding is a Pokemon Reversal. 2, possibly 3 per deck will ensure that you can get the easy knockouts. Overall, I think this is a pretty good deck idea. The Reshiram Cincinno is an interesting combination, but I think if you can really utilize your switches and junk arms to reuse them, you might be able to get it going. I definitely think reducing your Serperior line and seeing if you can fit an attack to add that energy back on a little bit faster would really speed up this deck. So if you'd like your deck reviewed, just PM me the list and whether you'd like to be considered for a video review, or if you'd like to just go ahead and get a blog review, which I can get immediate feedback on. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you think about the new style of deck reviews.